Hey guys, and welcome back to another Q&A. I know the last time we did a Q&A was a few months ago, and I always say when I do a Q&A that I'll try to do it as often as I can, and then I always end up neglecting them for some reason, but hopefully this video will break that type of consistency, and after I do this video, I will start uploading these Q&As more often, at least once a month or so. But then again, that's what I said in my last Q&A, and I think this video was published like 4 months or even longer since that Q&A, so we'll just see how it goes. I make no promises. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this Q&A with the first question by Michael Oleksik. Why name Krucial? Also, are you happy with the way WoW goes, or do you think it should have gone a different path? And he means lore-wise. Okay, so the lore of Legion is pretty decent so far. I don't have any complaints with it. I think it's a huge improvement over Warlords of Draenor, that's for certain. Warlords of Draenor's lore was an absolute cluster, and they didn't really do it well at all, mainly because of the lack of content, and you know, that led to things kind of escalating without transitional steps, such as, you know, Grom going from, you know, let's dominate Draenor entirely with the Iron Horde, and then the next time we see him, he's up there fighting Archimon with us, and he's like, okay, Draenor is free. Like, where's the transition between him being a bad guy and him suddenly being a liberator? There really is none. So Legion being an improvement over WoD is not a huge thing to gloat over, but I do think that Legion's lore is fairly decent. One of the things that I really do like about the lore is in this expansion is how it's so big that they tend to bring in so many characters and factions that have long past been forgotten and have been dormant for the longest times, and they just bring them back, and now they're active, and they're actively fighting alongside us and giving us quests as we fight against the Legion. So that's what I think that Legion did really well. They really managed to sort of magnify the scope of the threat of the Burning Legion to the point of where many factions and NPCs are brought back into the fold. But I think it's kind of rushed in certain ways. There's a lot of things that I don't like about how they executed certain things. Like, I think Argus could have been done a lot better. I'm probably going to receive a lot of flack for saying that, but honestly guys, Argus is just 3 zones that are filled with world quests, 3 mini zones that are filled with world quests, and it's just, I feel like it could have been done a lot better. I mean, like, the quest lines are phenomenal. I like the quest lines on Argus, so I think the story and the lore is pretty decent on Argus. I just think that they could have done a lot more if they dedicated more time to the storytelling of Argus rather than actual replayability within the zone, which is not quality replayability. It's just simply you going around and killing quote-unquote rares, even though they respawn every 2 hours or so, and also collecting chests and doing world quests. So when it comes down to it, I think the lore within Argus itself could have been done a lot better if they focused more on the storytelling and of the lore of Legion, rather than actually trying to focus on the replayability of the end game, which is basically, you know, you getting gear on Argus to eventually raid on Taurus. But regardless of that, I do think that the lore is fairly decent. I do think that, you know, the lore in Mists of Pandaria is actually better than Legion's, and I think Wrath's lore is probably like one of the best, but I don't think that Legion's lore is bad at all. I just think that, yes, it definitely could have been done better. Second question, Counter the Animator. What are the odds of me actually being shown in your video, gaining 10 seconds of attention, and then having everyone not give a fuck about me? Well, I guess this kind of answered your question. What will you play when vanilla WoW servers come out? Race and class. Okay, so vanilla servers are something that I haven't talked about on this channel yet, because a lot of people have already talked about vanilla servers, so I didn't want to oversaturate your guys' sub feeds by just putting out another vanilla video myself, considering that there were so many people already talking about the subject and there was so much hype revolving around classic servers. I think that classic servers is awesome. I was always somebody who knew that Blizzard was going to put out classic servers. It's such an untapped market that is like, why wouldn't they do it? I mean, you know, gaming corporations, they exist to make money and to have active monthly users. What better way to make money and, you know, maintain or even grow in your active monthly users player base than listening to your fans and actually, you know, making classic servers to which a lot of people they really do want to play. You know, retail's not their cup of tea. The game has changed way too much over the course of time, and they see WoW right now as way too easy compared to what it used to be. It used to be a game where you could actually feel a sense of accomplishment when you get gear and do raids and get the pre-raid gear within the dungeons and all these attunement quests, and now basically you can go ahead and loot chests around in some random zone and have it Titan Forge to mythic item level rating item level gear. So I can definitely see the appeal for a classic. I always knew that Blizzard was gonna put out classic servers, even though they, had that whole debacle last year with you think you do but you don't. I always knew that they were going to do it. I just didn't know when they were going to do it. I'm glad that they did say at BlizzCon that they are working on it. Who knows when it's going to be out? But to be honest, I hope that it comes out in a time like where retail isn't too active, because even though vanilla and classic servers come out, I am going to play retail, because retail is going to be something that is going to constantly being subjected to updates and changes, and basically the game living on. Like, as much as I love old World of Warcraft compared to what it is now, it's just my YouTube channel was based on retail. It wasn't based on a private server, it wasn't based on classic WoW, and because it's based on the story and the lore of retail and other aspects of the live game, I have to go ahead and keep up with it. As much as I want to play vanilla and classic, which I will, I just won't main on it, because I'm always gonna main on retail, because classic is something that players have either experienced or will get to experience again, while retail is something that's going to be constantly changing, and I don't think that they're gonna put out legacy servers for retail anytime soon. So as much as I do love classic WoW and the earlier expansions, I am going to prioritize retail WoW, because I want to keep up with the story and I want to keep up with the gameplay. But when I do play vanilla, and it's not if, it's when, because I will play vanilla, I just won't play it as often compared to if I were to play retail, because as I said, I want to keep up with the live game. Then I am going to play an orc warrior. Like, dude, orcs are badass as hell, and I love their classic models. Their classic models look so badass. And also, warriors are amazing, man. Like, if you play a warrior in classic, that's a sign that you're a badass. First of all, they're like one of the hardest classes to level. Like, there are certain quests where you really struggle or can't even do them as a warrior, because it's just so hard. You either have to out level the mob, or you have to pull every single mob within the area one at a time and eat between every single pull. That's why I love warriors so much in vanilla, because there's stance, there's all of these things that you have to do. There's the whirlwind axe, and also I'm pretty sure that near N tier of rating for vanilla, I think around Nax Ramus, or maybe even earlier, Fury, which was single-minded Fury at the time, was actually one of the top tier classes in the DPS meter. So if vanilla comes out anytime soon and I play vanilla, I will definitely play an orc warrior. Next question by Kiru Lost. Do you think the Burning Legion has been overused in lore? No, I don't think that they have been overused in the lore, but I just think that they have been overused in the game recently. Like, they came out with the second half of WoD being the threat of the Fel Horde, and that was kind of what gave rise to, Archimonde coming to Draenor, which got people fighting the demons and Archimonde and the Fel Horde within Hellfire Citadel, and now we have a whole expansion revolving around the Legion. That's why people get the sense of it being overused. And yes, I do think that the Burning Legion is being overused in the game, but in the lore aspect itself, no. I think that there could be many more things that could be told about the Burning Legion, like the thousands of worlds that they have conquered and laid waste to, as well as the thousands of races that have been eradicated and exterminated or assimilated into the Burning Legion, but that we never got to see because it's too many models to put into the game or what have you. Next question by Isafle Fletch. Sorry if I mispronounced that. What is your favorite lore character in World of Warcraft and why? I think my favorite lore character in World of Warcraft, okay, well, first of all, it's a tie between three. It's a tie between Arthas, Illidan, and Varian. And if I had to pick between any of the three, I think it would be Varian. Because Varian is just, ever since he was introduced and ever since he went out, he was always a badass through and through. Every single thing that he did, from controlling Goldrin to having the Horde call him Logosh, to having him best Garrosh in combat, to having him sacrifice himself so that the Alliance can escape the Broken Shore, Varian is just awesome through and through, and even the characters in World of Warcraft know it. He's beloved amongst the Alliance and hated by Garrosh, which he should hold to high esteem, considering that Garrosh probably wouldn't pay you any single, thought of the second of the day if he didn't think that you were a threat. And when it came to Varian, he was a big rival to Garrosh, and they fought several times, and most of which Garrosh and Varian were able to stand their ground. either of them, but in a certain instance, and I believe the novel Wolfheart, Varian actually almost kills him. So I think Varian is an absolute badass, and he was even one of my favorite characters before I even switched to the Alliance back in Warlords of Draenor. So even when I was a diehard Horde player, I absolutely loved Varian. Next question by Johnny the Show. Why is WoW addictive? I don't think current WoW is addictive. Ask me that question back in the older days in WoW, I would say it's pretty addictive. Right now, I wouldn't say it's addictive. If WoW was so addictive, I think it would have a little bit more players on each server, to the point of where they didn't have to merge like 3 servers, for a single server. What is your favorite race and why? Orcs by far are my favorite race. I absolutely love orcs. I love their story. I love the leaders of the various types of horde, the Fel Horde, the True Horde, the Orcish Horde, Thrall's Horde. There are so many cool and notable orcs that play such a big role in the story of World of Warcraft that it's absolutely amazing, and I absolutely just love orcs, and I love being able to play as one. Plus, they got an awesome ass racial that suits their origins. They just give into raw fury and raw rage and raw emotions in order to do more DPS. I absolutely love orcs. Orcs are so badass. Next question by Eric Barcy. Are you going to make any more machinima? Yes, I am going to make more machinima. I recently put one out, and I am in the works of making more machinima, but they do take a long time to make because there's just so many things that you have to do. You have to like green screen the models. You actually, you have to write a script for the machinima. You have to get the shots and everything. And although it doesn't sound that much when I summarize it like that, it actually is a lot of work compared to the other videos that I do, which is why I don't put them out too often. Because not only is it time consuming to work on, but I don't like to force machinimas. I like to have those ideas come to me, because that's when I know that video is going to be funny. If I try to force a machinima every single month, then it gets to the point of where my machinimas are going to be so bad and so dull, because it's just completely it's so forced. And it's kind of like, can you imagine SpongeBob? Like SpongeBob in the earlier seasons, like in the late 90s and early 2000s, was amazing with like the old writing team and everything. It was just amazing. Nowadays, the jokes are so dumbed down, the characters have absolutely no development, and it's just so dumbed down that it feels so forced. And that's kind of like what I feel with my machinimas. I want to do them when I feel like the time's right, as well as when I actually have the time to do them, rather than just trying to keep up with it every single month or so. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do machinimas too often, but I won't stop doing machinimas. I'll always do machinimas. Next question by Daijabu Beats. How's your back, and are you going to do more of your bedtime stories? Love these videos. My back is healing really slowly. This back injury, spinal surgery, takes a long time to heal, apparently up to like over a year, until you're actually 100% ready to go again. And the surgery that I had was like a decompression type of surgery. It was called a laminectomy, and it's basically where they cut a part of your bone so that your nerves are not compressed. And the thing is that it's not 100% guaranteed to work, and there's a lot of times where I feel absolutely great, and there's also a lot of other times where I don't feel so great. So I don't really know how my back is right now. Like part of me really wants to say that the surgery did work, but another part of me just experiences these symptoms, on certain days and certain weeks, to the point of where I really do wonder if it worked through and through. But again, I'm like 7 months or 8 months out of surgery right now. I don't really remember. And I just hope and pray that it continues to heal to the point of where I can actually return to a physically active lifestyle. Because having your life be hindered due to an injury that you got at the age of 14 in high school, it's really hard to cope with. But life is what it is. You gotta push through no matter what. There's no point in bitching and complaining about everything, So I always try to look at the glass at half full, because that's going to be the only thing that pretty much can keep me on my feet and push throughout the day. Because if I just lie in my bed and cry all day and bitch on Twitter or Facebook or to my friends or whatever, what is that going to accomplish? Nothing. And it's going to piss off those people to the point of where they think I'm a mopey person. So whenever life gets tough, you got to get tough too. It's just how it is. But thank you so much for your question, and yeah, I really do hope it heals in the future. I'll keep you guys up to date with that in the next Q&A, which hopefully I can put out next month. But again, who knows? It might be 4 months from now. I'll try to do it sooner though. Next question's by Milo or Nate on my Discord. When's next podcast? Dude, I don't know. Like, it was fun doing the first podcast, but we just never got around to doing another one. I hope we do another one soon. I guarantee you we'll do another one later this year, but as to when exactly we are going to do it, I have no idea. But one thing's for certain is that the podcast hasn't stopped. It's just how soon the next one is going to come out is up to question, and I have absolutely no answer to give you at this time. But, you know, just know that there will be a podcast out in the future. How much does your donger weigh? I don't know, dude. I've never really weighed it, but maybe you can do the math for me. It's 1 inch long and 30 inches around. How do you think Battle for Azeroth will end? Ragnaros is gonna come back fused with Archimonde, and Thrall's gonna get the Dragon Soul and shoot him into the Twisting Nether. I'm absolutely positive on that. Okay, next question by Nobody Special. Do you think it would be worth getting into World of Warcraft so late into its life? I considered playing, but I'm not sure on how long it will last. World of Warcraft will last a very long time. I mean, like, it's all up to Blizzard. So long as we're giving them money from our wallets, they're going to be milking the franchise for as long as they can, so I don't think that that's a worry. But the game is going to be, regardless if it's going to end soon or go on for a long time, it still has many, many more years, because even if retail ends, you know, with the story of the Void Lords or whatever, let's say that that's the expansion after Battle for Azeroth, let's say retail only has 4 more years left. Hypothetically, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to get more years. Then you still have classic servers for vanilla, classic servers for most likely BC, and also Wrath of the Lich King, hopefully. So you still have many, many more years and options when it comes to playing World of Warcraft. So when it comes to, you know, should you play WoW so late in its life, that's up to you. Speaking from a perspective of somebody who's played Legion, I wouldn't play Legion, you know, right now, especially if I don't have any friends playing it. I would not touch the game. I would wait for Classic to come out, because Classic is going to be sick, especially if you're a new player. Definitely play Classic. It's going to be great, and if you have a lot of friends who are looking to get into World of Warcraft as well, don't get into Legion. Wait for Classic, because that's going to be sick. I know I said earlier that when Classic came out, I was going to main on, you know, the retail game version, not on the legacy servers. But again, that's because I need to keep up with the story, the plot, and the gameplay in order to maintain this YouTube channel. Honestly, if I had no interest in the story, and I really had no interest on how the game was going to develop in Battle for Azeroth, then I probably would main on Classic, because the experiences between old WoW and new WoW are so different, and you know, old WoW is just a different animal on its own, and it's an animal that I haven't seen in a very, very long time, but that I would like to see again. So do with that statement what you will. But again, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this Q&A. Forgive me if I have a lot of stutters or if I kind of like have a lot of circular sentences. I am doing this recording without a script, so sometimes when I talk, I kind of like forget what I'm saying, and I have to double take and, you know, go back on what I was saying, and it might not flow as well as it should have had this been written on a script. But again, this is just me answering the questions at the top of my head, so it may be a little bit sloppy. Once again, guys, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit the notification bell next to the sub button so you can stay caught up with the channel. And once again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you all later.